The tuner is a tool, and it's a very useful tool at that. It's so convenient to have this little truth-telling machine to tell you if you sound like doggy doo-doo. For the developing musician, it is nothing but good. What a tuner is a little device that tells you if you are in tune or not. Usually has a little green thing that indicates if you're in tune. There's many different examples of the tuner. I grew up using this type of tuner. Nowadays, I use Tonal Energy. It's an app you can get anywhere, and it has this little smiley that blows up the more play in tune. Very rewarding, but not as much when you get something wrong. Now, it's always a good idea, especially for people who are brand new to a certain instrument, to always have a tuner. If you're practicing, have a tuner on your stand. That's just the right thing to do. Necessary tool for a budding musician all the way up to a professional. That way you always know you're shooting bullseyes on every note that you're playing. The tuner is also used in other settings, especially in ensembles. You'll always find the oboe player has a tuner on their stand, and they give the tuning note at the very beginning of rehearsal, and they gotta be right on the money. They gotta be green for everyone else to play along with. It centers the ensemble. It makes everybody start in tune from the same place. It's a completely fundamental, powerful, and completely vital tool to have for every single musician if they want to take this thing seriously. There's no denying the tuner's importance. But why am I going out of my way to show the importance of a tuner? Didn't you read the title of the video? I assure you, I'm trying not to undermine the importance of a tuner, and I think everyone needs one. Next to having a head on your shoulders, you need a tuner to be a musician. But I think that the tuner is often used as a crutch, as a lifeline, as the one thing that holds somebody over. You should remember that the tuner is just a tool. It's just a tool to help you get to the right place. Here, I'll tell you how. I'll put you in a situation. You are sitting in a rehearsal for like a wind ensemble or orchestra or whatever it might be, but you're sitting in an ensemble. You're about maybe 2/3 of the way through rehearsal, and the person next to you, you see that they pull out their tuner and place it on their stand. But then they have the tuner on their stand, but they still sound off. You look over, you look at the tuner, and you see that it's green, but there's too many waves. It just doesn't sound good. Something's wrong. So what happened? I thought the tuner never lies. If the tuner's green, shouldn't this guy be sounding good? Well, hold up. There's like 3 different reasons about why this could be the case. Why the tuner might be lying. First, the tuner itself might be calibrated wrong. Most tuners, they're calibrated to about 440 hertz. That translates to A4 on a piano. Most tuners kind of tune to that as kind of the central bass to get everything equal and good and sounding correct. But just as easily, let's say you have one of the physical tuners, you could easily push the wrong button here and there and then suddenly calibrate this thing to be something different. Even if it's like a few numbers off, if it's like 435 or 445, that's enough to be noticeable when you are in a professional ensemble setting. When you're in a group where everyone is in tune, that little difference, you're gonna stick out just a little bit and it's not gonna sound right. So, easy fix, just calibrate it correctly, but my video today isn't necessarily about just the technical side of that. Instead, I want to talk about the next 2 reasons it could be wrong. Number 2, instruments. They're very finicky when it comes to tuning. Every musician in the world can tell you that that first note isn't their warm-up. Chances are they're probably not even there yet. Some people are, some people aren't. Get more warmed up as you go through rehearsal. While your instrument physically warms up, especially if you're like a wind instrument, then the intonation changes. You become more flat. As an ensemble, a lot of the time, the ensemble itself will go a little bit out of tune, but together. So it still sounds really good, but everyone's kind of out of tune because everyone kind of went that direction. The tonal center is just slightly off. Now, that's not really a noticeable problem, unless if you have A, perfect pitch, and B, if your tuner is on, because the tuner doesn't lie. If it's out of tune, it's out of tune. It doesn't matter if the whole ensemble's out of tune. If you're out of tune, you're out of tune. The tuner doesn't know that the ensemble itself is out of tune and it sounds good. The tuner instead is just going to tell you what it knows, which is that it's not at 440 hertz. Number 3, just intonation. You could be playing something like the 3rd in a chord. Wait, what? 3rd in the chord? What does that mean? Wait, why does that matter? Okay, well, take a piano, for example. Piano is tuned to equal temperament, which means that each note is perfectly spaced apart from the other. They're all going to be equally spaced apart, which makes everything very uniform. Now, in the real world, there's a thing that a lot more people follow called just intonation, which means that there are some things you can kind of bend around to make things sound especially beautiful. That's why a live setting or played by humans rather than computers, music can have this like life to it, there's like a warm sound that comes from like the same chord. If you play on the piano, it doesn't have the same feeling. It's because they tuned their notes a little differently. Simplified, it means that certain notes in a chord need to be slightly altered and changed pitch-wise to make it sound pretty. The most common example people use is when you're playing a third with just intonation, you actually need to flatten that note. So you gotta flatten it by 14 cents. So on my tuner, 14 cents is gonna give you this look. Bridger here. Editor Bridger here. I just wanted to let you know that I am aware that tonal energy has a little button in the corner that changes from equal temperament to just intonation. My point is, if you're in rehearsal and you're rehearsing a piece with a bunch of quick key changes, try to keep up trying to change it along with the tune that's playing at the same time with playing with musicality and everything and blah, blah, blah. You get my point? It's not really an end-all solution. Every note actually has a little bit of a difference with that. You know, some of them are more big and small. The fifth is supposed to be raised by 2 cents. Even a minor third, instead of going flat on that, you actually need to go sharp. 16 cents sharp. So even more in the sharp realm than you would in the flat for a major third. Shoot, how am I supposed to memorize where to put each note in a scale degree? Well, you really don't. You just need to open up your ears. You need to use your musicality. So when you play a note, you gotta know, okay, in the context of this ensemble and what I'm playing, am I sounding flat? Am I sounding sharp? What's the problem going on here? And you adjust accordingly. Understanding how things are supposed to sound, you know, find the good, trusting in yourself that, hey, that doesn't sound quite good. Let me flatten it a little bit and it's gonna sound better. So something I do to kind of practice this, to open up my ear, is I'll put on a drone meaning one sustained note forever. And I'll go from that drone as my bottom of the scale degree, and I will go up from there, going up the scale. So for example, if I'm playing a C, I'll go up from there playing each note individually, and then each note I play individually, I take a second and try to adjust to get rid of all those that are in it. And I go up, then I go back down. In fact, something I used to do when I was the section leader of my wind orchestra, the wind ensemble, I would actually take all of the trumpet players that were in my section, and individually we'd go into a practice room, and one of us would play a drone while the other one would go up scale degrees, and the goal was to have all of us match as we went up and down, and then we would switch roles where I would go up and down a scale degree while that person stays on that note. What that did was it created unification, right? It got us off the right foot to begin the rest of the semester, sounding as good as we possibly could, knowing that our ears were opened up and we know how we're supposed to sound together. Most problems that you think are up with intonation can be solved easily with just improving on your musicality. Listening, opening up your ears, and understanding that some notes are just going to be different when they're in the context of a piece, of an ensemble, and adjusting accordingly. Work with the group. Don't be the stubborn one. Work with the rest of the ensemble. If you're in tune and no one else is, then you're the one that's out of tune. Then you realize when someone pulls a tuner and puts it on their stand, that completely cuts off the musicality, because most of the time when I see that happen during an ensemble setting, it means that they're using that as a crutch, saying, where am I? Am I sharp or flat? What it really does is it turns off their ears. It makes it so they don't have to think. They're relying on the tool. It's their lifeline to be correct. A lot of times, they're not correct. But now you know better that sometimes the tuner lies. But please, for the tuners, use them elsewhere. Please use them while you're practicing. Please use them in lessons. Please use them even in an ensemble sometimes, like when you're beginning stuff. Also use your musicality. Use your ears. Trust in them that you know how something is supposed to sound, that it's supposed to sound good, and you're going to be way more successful for it. Hey all, thanks for watching my video. I know this one can be a little bit controversial to some people because everyone always has an opinion when it comes to tuners and music and how to practice, and I am totally down for opinions. So please, if you agree, disagree, anything like that, please let me know in the comments, but please keep it civil, because no one wants to be a jerk. Don't be a dingus. Be nice. If you're not nice, I'm going to come down on you hard. Thanks, guys. Do me a favor, please, and subscribe if you liked what you saw. If you're at the end of the video, I mean, you gotta have liked it or something. So subscribe, and if I get to 1,000 subscribers, I will shoot myself into the moon.